Hello, small groups. My name is Desiree, and today I want to talk to you about the best way to overcome fear by using remarkable faith. I was recently faced with a situation where fear of failure and disappointing people were high. My mom and I had just recently started a non for profit organization where we provide items and comfort for those living in nursing homes. We had just started our organization, we're just starting to get the word out about it when God told us to adopt a very large nursing home and to do it before Christmas. Now, if we were really smart with our money, we were going to need at least $3,000 to pull this off. So, as we started making preparations and preparing for it, many people were telling us to only pick a few of the people to help, and were feeding us full of doubt and fear that we were not going to be able to do it. However, my mom and I pushed through, we leaned into God, and we decided to continue to make our plans. God came through, and not only did we raise enough money, we had raised over $4,000 to provide everybody in that nursing home with Christmas gifts, as well as throw them a party to remind them the love of God. During this, I remember how God fights our battles for us and how he fought a battle that everybody ran from in fear until one small child said, "This battle is the Lord." Today, we're going to be talking about David and Goliath in 1 Samuel 17:32 and 51. Now, there are a few things that we can take away from David and Goliath. Number one, God will use anyone for his purposes. In 1 Samuel 17, we hear about David. David was the son of a man named Jesse and was the youngest son. Being the youngest son, David was in charge of the flocks. He was always in God's presence and learned how to be with him in a very young age. In Acts 13:22, it reads, "But God removed Saul and replaced him with David, a man about whom God said, 'I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do.'" David was a man after God's own heart. He didn't back down from what God wanted him to do. David would have been very good at protecting the flock and had fought many lions and bears. Historians believe that David was between the ages of 12 and 16 when he fought Goliath. For God to use a child, how much more will God use you? David was willing to be used by God and willing to do whatever God had asked him to do. Will you allow God to use you? Number two, no matter the giant, the battle is the Lord's. Before David even steps up to fight Goliath, God had already won the battle, but no one saw it that way. When David gets to the camp to deliver food to his brothers, he sees Goliath and can hear how Goliath is not only saying bad things about Saul, the army, but also saying bad things about God. Everyone else was seeing how big and strong Goliath was, while David saw victory over the battle. Now Goliath was over 9 feet tall and was built very strong. He was built like a tank, and it was the biggest, strongest soldier that the Philistines had. With Goliath's armor on him, he was about 5 to 600 pounds. The average height of an Israelite man is about 5'6" to 6 foot, which puts David at a height of about 5 feet. In 1 Samuel 17:38 to 39, it reads, "Then Saul gave David his own armor, a bronze helmet and a coat of mail. David put it on, strapped the sword over it, took a step or two to see what it was like, for he had never worn such things before. 'I can't go in these,' he protested to Saul. 'I'm not used to them.' So David took them off again." When we get to 1 Samuel 17:45, it reads, "David replied to the Philistines, 'You come at me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come at you in the name of the Lord heaven's armies, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled.'" While Goliath chose to use a spear to fight David, David's weapon of choice was a slingshot and 5 smooth stones. With one stone, David hit Goliath and won the battle for the Lord. Number three, don't be like Saul's army and only see the fear. In 1 Samuel 17:24 to 25, it reads, "As soon as the Israelite army saw him, they began to run away in fright." "Have you seen the giant?" the men asked. "He comes out each day to defy Israel. The king has offered a huge reward for anyone who kills him. He will give that man one of his daughters for a wife, and that man's entire family will be exempted from paying taxes." Saul and his men only saw the giant that was in front of him. They saw the only problem in front of them, and they didn't see the problem or way around it. He didn't have faith or trust in the Lord what he was going to do. They had fear over death and fear over the battle. Even Saul, who was anointed to lead people into battle, didn't believe it when he was faced with a giant danger. David, however, knew and believed in that anointing that God had given him. He chose to believe in that and follow God, even when it was put upon him as a young child. He didn't back down from what God told him to do. Saul was anointed to lead, but when was faced with that challenge, didn't believe he was truly anointed. Both of these men had the same anointing from God. Both of these men were told they were going to be king over the Israelites. However, one man chose not to follow that. One man chose to listen to himself and not follow God, when David chose to listen to God, chose to follow God's path, and trust in the Lord and trust in the Lord's timing for everything. So, I encourage you, the next time that you're faced with a problem, fight it. Go to God and believe that God will fight this battle for you. Like my mom and I did when we had faith that God was going to do what he anointed us to do. We chose to listen to God and not listen to the people around us. What is it that you need to believe God for? What battle do you need God to fight? Thank you, and there are some discussion questions to follow.